Welcome to Eye on Horror, the official podcast of iHorror.com. This is episode 138, otherwise known as season 7, episode 19. I am your host, James J. Edwards, and with me, as always, is your other host, Jacob Davidson. How you doing, Jacob?
Doing well and reporting from Connecticut visiting family.
Have you been to Gloucester? Look for the sea serpent?
No, I did my usual tour. I went to Gloucester to see my dad and the sea monster, and then went up to Connecticut to see the other side of my family, and went to the archive and got a haul that I'll be talking about.
I was going to say, I'm sure we're going to hear about the pilgrimage to the archive.
Oh, yeah.
Also with us, as always, is your other host, John Correa. How you doing, Correa?
Doing great. Did my caffeine / Metamucil mix, so I'm ready to go this morning.
I have been knee deep in awards screeners and screenings, but I just have to talk about, which we teased last episode. I saw Nosferatu.
Oh boy!
And you hated it, right?
No, this is a beautiful. This is a beautiful movie. This is, I mean, Robert Eggers is about as pure of an auteur as you're going to find today. Between like The Witch and The Lighthouse and The Northman. And this is just more of that. It's like there's just so much detail put into this movie. And it's the story of Nosferatu. So, it's the Dracula story. There are a few little creative changes, that he did with it, but it sticks pretty close to the story. But just the detail put, like, every frame of every shot of this movie is just so beautiful. It's it's just such a well-made movie. Oh yeah, it's so great. And your boy Skarsgård is he's a pretty ferocious Orlok. He's making a name for himself. Willem Dafoe is he's like a clown. He's like the Van Helsing type character. He's like the vampire expert. Yeah. And he's just chewing every stick of scenery around. And it's just, everyone else is being real serious. And then there's Willem Dafoe in there. Mm-hmm. I think he's kind of become Robert Eggers' not muse, but he's his go-to when he needs that kind of a character, like the why just spill your beans kind of a thing going on. It's pretty. He plays a very pivotal role in it because if you're familiar with Nosferatu, you know that the real hero is the wife, and Willem Dafoe's character kind of he kind of enables her to do her thing by distracting everyone else. But Nosferatu is beautiful. It's going to end up on. I wouldn't be surprised if it's on all 3 of our top 10s. It's. I'm pretty sure it's going to be on mine. Because we're getting so close to the end. But
right, and let me just ask one thing: on a scale of 1 to 10, how horny was it?
I maybe a 6. It's not super horny.
That's what I heard.
I mean, obviously it's a Dracula story, so it's kind of, but honestly, Orlok is not that sexy. So it's more like the draw of the vampire kind of a thing, because he does beckon to the Harker character, which is his name is Thomas. He's not Jonathan Harker, but his wife, which is Lily Rose Depp, she is, she does have this draw to Orlok, but Orlok is not. He has this bushy mustache, which, I mean, if you've read Dracula, it is part of the character. In the book, he has a mustache, but it is, I mean, I didn't really find it that horny myself. But if we want to talk horny, a couple of other movies that I saw for awards that neither of them are really horror, so we don't want to spend too much time, but A24 has a pair of movies coming out that if you want horny, you'll get horny. One of them is Queer, which is the William S. Burroughs adaptation that stars Daniel Craig. And he's queer, and he becomes fixated on this younger man, and it's pretty graphic with what it
nice.
when it was just a love story, I was kind of into it, but then it goes into this Apocalypse Now chapter a little later that kind of lost me. But um, I don't know. People can draw their own conclusions. But yeah, that one is pretty horny. And then last night I saw Babygirl with Nicole Kidman.
Oh, that one
Oh
looks
yeah.
so horny.
That one is very, very horny. I mean, both of them are very horny, but it just depends on what makes you horny. If you like your guy on guy, do queer. If you like your, guy on girl, do Babygirl.
And if you like both good, it's a great double feature.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I said to the rep. They always ask us for reactions when we leave. That's what I said to the rep because these screenings were on consecutive days, and I told the rep, I'm like, well, dude, between Queer and Babygirl, A24 has given us some content this season.
Well, it's just funny because the trailers for Queer aren't explicit, but the ones for Babygirl are just like they basically show everything up to it. It's for Babygirl. It's basically like you're gonna see Nicole Kidman fuck, and it's like oh Merry Christmas. Okay, yeah.
It's the thing is you do see Nicole Kidman fuck, but there's other stuff that because the whole thing is she and I don't want to get too into. I mean, although it is adjacent because it becomes kind of a stalker thriller, not quite Fatal Attraction level, but it is that. But she winds up, she's actually married to Antonio Banderas in the movie, which is weird because you're like, what woman would cheat on Antonio Banderas? But she ends up having an affair with her intern at work, and he does things to her that Antonio Banderas' character doesn't or can't or whatever. So you do get. It's a whole lot of domination and submission kind of stuff too. So yeah, you get it's definitely a friend of mine joked that Nicole Kidman doesn't do roles now unless they allow her to be naked in it.
I'm just excited for whatever wig she's wearing because Nicole Kidman has been having the most amazing wigs the last couple of decades. It's great.
I don't think it's a wig because she spends most of the movie with her hair tied up in like a bun because she's like a businesswoman. She's like the CEO of this AI robotics company. So yeah, I don't think it's a wig. But anyway,
boo AI robotics.
No, AI robotics are not as bad as AI content creation. But anyway, we're opening up a can that we don't want to open.
Sounds like someone who's secretly a robot would say,
What? No,
glitched. We caught him.
So what have you guys been seeing lately?
Well, did you guys see Wicked yet?
Not yet.
Yeah. Yes.
Seeing it on Saturday with the family.
Oh my gosh.
It's not super horror, but so
it's not super good either. Oh my God.
I mean,
everybody is loving it. And then and granted, I watched it on a screening link on my TV, so I didn't get the theatrical experience. But one thing that you need to know that we do need to spoil, and this is in the first like 10 minutes, it's a part one.
Yeah.
It's 2 hours and 40 minutes, and it's part one. So you have a little bit of that Dune, shock at the opening credit. But for me, it's just kind of all set up. And I guess it kind of resolves itself in the end. But my biggest problem with it, first of all, the good. Ariana Grande is great in it. She's really good. The bad, what did they do to the music? Because the music in Wicked is actually really good. The songs are really good. But in this movie, they make it sound like the way they produce the music, it sounds like it's all the same song that they're just singing different words over. And I'm like, what did you do to the production of this music? Anyway, no, it was frustrating for me because everybody's loving it. So I went into it with kind of high hopes. But then as I'm watching it, I was like, and then the last 30 minutes, I had so much trouble getting through. I'm like, oh, okay, come on. You've gone this far. We're going to finish it. Anyway, what do you think, Korea?
I mean, I enjoyed it. I definitely, within like the first, I was very confused in the very beginning because I was like, wait, isn't this a prequel? Wait, Weren't they friends? Wait, whose perspective are we having? But I think that was
Yeah.
just me. I also was like really weirded out at the talking bear, and I was like, "There's talking animals in this." And it wasn't until later I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh wait, Cowardly Lion and the Chicken in Return to Oz." I very quickly was like, "I don't know as much about the world of Oz as I thought I did." So
That's what I said.
let's
I'm gonna name my next band Dulce Bear.
yeah, but I actually enjoyed it. I didn't know the musical outside of snippets of songs, so I had a lot of fun with it. I loved Ariana Grande was tapping into like her Chanel character in Scream Queens and just being like a real jerk. Cynthia was freaking amazing. That was the three most frustrating things about the movie was the color. I wish they had gone for more vibrant technicolor look with it. I understand they were trying to go for realism, but it's fucking Oz. So like go bright, man. Go bright as hell with the colors. That being said, the color of Alphalia, Alfie,
Elphaba.
Alphaba, there we go. The green for her makeup I thought was great, which was also led to my frustration when she first shows up to the school and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, she's hideous." I was like, "What are you talking about? She's fucking gorgeous."
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
know it.
they were trying to make a point. Yeah, they were trying to like give it some commentary, but you're right. I was like, no,
Get
the
outta
green is not
here.
hideous. She looks great. Yeah.
I even asked the people I went with, I'm like, is it just because I'm a Trekkie and grew up with like Orions and stuff like that? Like, or was she just like fucking gorgeous? And they were like, no, 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 she was hot. I was like, okay, because that whole scene, I was like, dude, shut up. She's great. That and also the made up words. That was so
Yeah.
frustrating. Horrible. It's like I that every time someone did that, I was just it just filled me with rage. I don't know why, but it was again, it's a part of the thing. I really really liked the cameo from the original to
I know. I
Kristen
like that
Chenoweth
too.
and stuff.
Yeah, they Adina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth are in it, and
Oh,
um,
And it's not just a quick little cameo either. It's great.
I don't know if we're supposed to spoil that or not, but the movie's been out for a week or so, so I guess we can.
yeah. Although it's funny because while I haven't seen the movie yet, I did actually see the original production of Wicked like 20 years ago when I was in high school with Adina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth. And
Ah,
that's the thing, I did like the original stage production on Broadway, so I was interested in checking out the adaptation because I mostly heard good things. And it's got like a ridiculously high score on Letterboxd.
yeah, it's Act One, just
Yeah.
so you know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you knew that going in, but
Oh,
yeah, it's
I do. Wicked Part One and basic. I guess it's kind of the theater thing where it's Part One, then we have a considerably long intermission, and then Part Two comes out.
Yep.
yep.
A year long intermission. But yeah, if they weren't making a part two, it would just be how did the Wicked Witch of the East get her broomstick?
Yeah.
But it's real good. But I just want to take it back to horniness real quick. Have you guys seen it? Just dropped the other day on Peacock, the Girls Gone Wild Untold Story.
No. Is this a drama or a documentary?
So it's a 3-part documentary,
Okay.
and it's about the guy who started Girls Gone Wild, the company, its rise and fall and all that, and it's got a lot of similarities to Quiet on Set, in that it's these reporters and they talk about their reporting a lot, but it's done so much better. Like Quiet on Set came off very exploitive of like the subjects and the people, and this one it's just mainly they really do give like the women the chance to speak and really talk about like what happened and how it happened and all these things. And it's insane, dude, because basically the guy who founded Girls Gone Wild is on the lam in Mexico. He fled the country years ago, and he doesn't really do interviews. But 5 or so years ago, he did an interview with this woman for BuzzFeed, I think it was. And so she went down there and she had a 9-hour interview where she recorded audio but no video for it. And that was the backbone of the docuseries and her article that she wrote, which they do address in the later one because she wrote the article and he emailed the company just absolutely being like, she's a liar, she's a C word, blah, 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 all the stuff. That was a hit piece. And it's like, this dude cannot, put himself in that position. But it's so insane, just like
And
seeing.
also, she had 9 hours of audio, so how could he deny what she said? I
Oh
mean, unless she really did hit him in the piece.
no, it's you listen to the audio. This guy contradicts the fact and and spins his own narrative. Like he even says multiple times that he was the victim in all these cases. He outright lies. It's insane. I'm very interested in like this retrospective look back on the early 2000s and especially on the treatment of women in media. And it's a really good piece of that. It's very harrowing what he got away with for so long, because you got to remember they Girls Gone Wild featured a lot of stuff involving underage women, and they got away with it.
Yeah, plus a lot of it was basically revenge porn.
Revenge porn. These women were very highly intoxicated. Like it's a hard watch, but it's really good. I highly recommend it, especially since like we all know those commercials from that time. If you'd ever been up past like 8 p.m. on Comedy Central, we all know the infomercials with the fucking tin drums. And it's so crazy to see like what the full thing is. And then also they do point out like, oh, and these celebrities were connected with him and stuff. And there's a few names where you're like, that name's been popping up in the news a lot lately. So yeah, the Untold Story, Girls Gone Wild. Yeah, it's on Peacock, and yeah, it's a good one.
Have you guys seen it's on Netflix, The Platform 2?
No, not yet,
No,
but I love
did
the first
see
one.
the first one.
Yeah, no, the first one was good. The second one, not so much.
Ah,
It's a little more, it's like they're trying, the people in the prison are trying to form like a society that takes care of each other, but there's like rules and punishments and stuff. And yeah, it's not nearly as good as the first. It doesn't have as much to say, but there's like, there's punishments for like they try and, ration the food as it gets down. And if you take too much, the people on the floor above you will take care of you, meaning they're going to ride the platform down and kick your ass. And there's, there are punishments like, everything from, cutting off your arm to killing you if you do certain things. But it's not it's kind of a mess. But I mean, you guys can judge for yourself. But it's because the first one was really good. And this one was a little disappointing, but
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really think it even needed a sequel.
no, I don't think it did either. But lo and behold, there it is.
On my end, back on Theater with Wicked, while visiting family in Connecticut, I went to New York to see the musical adaptation Death Becomes Her. Death Becomes Her, the musical.
ah.
And we're all Death Becomes Her fans here, right?
Are
Oh, yeah.
we all Death Becomes Her fans here, Jacob? Are you kidding me? Of course, it's one of the greatest movies ever.
I need to emphasize for the listeners at home.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I was like, don't you try to
That wasn't a
check my corner.
question.
I'm not questioning you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you gotta emphasize it for people listening right now.
It was a statement, not a question.
Yeah,
Yes.
I have a framed Death Becomes Her poster in my bedroom.
Nice. But anyway, yeah, no, like I'd only just heard about it a couple weeks ago because they were in pre-shows and the reviews had actually been very positive. So I decided to give it a go. And it was really good. Like it was really funny. And they managed to make it even more campy, gay, and hornier than the original in some ways.
That's an accomplishment.
Yeah. Like there's like you got to listen to the soundtrack because there are some really good and funny songs in there. Like they kind of changed Madeline Ashton's background a little bit in that she's a gay a gay icon on Broadway, kind of like Liza Minnelli, and she has a song called "I Do It for the Gays," which is spelled Gaze, but there's a lot of double entendre.
Oh man, I need to listen to the soundtrack right now.
Oh no, it's really good.
Are we done?
we're getting pretty horny with this episode. And I haven't even talked about I finally saw Honora and Challengers.
Yeah, but I also just want to add that it had a really good cast with let's see, Megan Hilty as Madeline Ashton, Christopher Sieber as Ernest, Jennifer Simard as Helen Sharp, and this was really good. They had Michelle Williams as Viola Van Horn, which is basically kind of a reformatted or kind of a changed version of Liesl von Rumen. Like they kind of changed character a bit, but it basically follows the same beats, but they do some fun stuff and kind of making it stand on its own.
That's awesome. She's a great singer.
Oh yeah, no, she had some great numbers too. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun, and they also do some fun tricks in pulling off a lot of the practical, a lot of the violence, like the shovel fight and Madeline falling down the stairs and Helen getting shot in the chest. So I'm always a fan of theatrical productions that do a lot of practical effects gore.
It's a great year to be a Death Becomes Her fan because there's the musical, there's the recent 4K release, which is gorgeous, and then there's the Sabrina Carpenter music video where it's her and Jenna Ortega are doing their own version of Death Becomes Her and just being like absolutely like brutal with each other, wearing awesome outfits and like doing a lot of homages to that movie. So yeah, great year to be a Death Becomes Her fan.
I saw a couple movies that are going to make my for awards consideration that are going to make my weirdest movies of the year list. One of them is Nightbitch, which
oh yeah,
Nightbitch, despite its name, is not really a horror movie. Although there is, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a little bit of werewolf action in it. But it's Amy Adams as basically this mother who is just kind of over it. Do you guys remember that movie from a few years ago, Tully, with Charlize Theron?
Right, yeah.
It's a little like that in the mood about how, this mother is just, with her husband who's, although the husband in this is a lot more likable than the one in Tully. But anyway, it goes places and it gets a little weird. And the other one, which I don't know if you guys have seen, The People's Joker.
Oh, I've seen The People's Joker.
Have you seen it? Oh my gosh,
I've been wanting to.
It is really it's interesting, and what makes it weird, and I say it's going to make my weirdest movies of the year award. It's basically Vera Drew's. She somehow makes her coming out as trans story into a Gotham City villain and hero story, but it's weird because it's really honest about her feelings and her journey to coming out, and that's not the weird part. The weird part is it is this mixture of live action, stop motion, traditional animation, puppetry. It is just this multimedia extravaganza, and pretty much any Batman character you can think of is in this movie. They, in some way, and they have this whole, I don't know when you saw it, but I know that they got into some legal trouble. DC basically tried to shut this movie down, and there's a whole legal thing at the beginning citing the Fair Use Act of 1975 or something, basically saying, this is a parody and we're legally able to use these likenesses and characters for, in the context of this movie. So they're able to use, like the Riddler and the Joker and Batman and and Catwoman and Bane, and basically the whole Batman universe is in there somewhere. But it's a trip.
Yeah, I saw it a few months ago, I think over the summer, and I thought it was very funny, and also it had a great kind of anti-corporatist message, and kind of, and also I feel like it was a satire about the state of comedy because like Lorne Michaels is a character in it, and they dunk on him constantly.
Well, Vera Drew's character, which I just saw it last night, and eventually it becomes Joker the Harlequin, and is what they changed their name to. And the Penguin, they open a comedy club, is basically the crux of it. And it is really hysterical. It is, Vera Drew has a real sense of humor about everything that she's gone through. And the the line that totally got me is when she's first debuting her Joker the Harlequin character, she stands up on stage and goes, "Hi, I'm Joker the Harlequin. My pronouns are he and ha." It just like cracked me up.
And let's see, on my end, I'm in Connecticut again, so of course I did uh, my usual pilgrimage to Vinegar Syndrome's archive in Bridgeport, and they were doing a Black Friday sale, so I got to get some cool swag while I was there. Mostly vinyl. They had a very good selection this time. Like, let's see, I got the soundtrack to Roller Coaster 1941.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, like 1941, I feel like is underrated, and I especially like that overtly patriotic score by John Williams. And on the horror side of things, I got let's see, uh, Necropolis, a Trauma soundtrack compilation, which has stuff from like a lot of their lesser known or kind of partner label releases, like Blood Hook, Nightmare Weekend, even Night Beast with music by J.J. Abrams. And I also got the Warlock soundtrack with music by Jerry Goldsmith, which I rewatched it after Julian Sands sadly passed away a little bit ago, and it's an incredible score. So I'm glad I was able to pick that up. And in terms of movies, I got this cool double feature set from Film Masters with speaking of Nosferatu, a double Klaus Kinski feature with The Creature with the Blue Hand and Web of the Spider, both Euro horror movies that Kinski did. In the latter, he plays Edgar Allan Poe. Oh, and also I picked up some VHS. I got Moontrap with damn it,
Bruce Campbell.
with Bruce Campbell and Jonathan, who played Chekhov?
Walter Koenig.
Yeah, Walter Koenig and Bruce Campbell playing astronauts fighting robots on the moon. What's not to love?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Jacob's mad at me because I went to a VHS swap meet and found a copy of Metal
Demon Wind.
No, well, I did find a copy of Demon Wind, but I did not buy it. But I did get Metal
Project Metal Beast.
There we go. I did. Yeah, Jacob's mad at me because I found a VHS of Project Metal Beast and bought it. I did also find a copy of Demon Wind, but I did not buy that one because I had to save my money for the 1990s Monster Mash the movie starring Cameron Burr from Full House, which I don't know why that movie exists. I don't know why it was made, and I can't wait to watch it.
I had over Black Friday, A24 had an AAA 24 30% off, for members. So I actually caught up on a bunch of the vinyl releases of theirs that I was missing, stuff like Talk to Me, Sing Sing, Civil War.
Nice.
Because I mean, 30% is better than the 10% that you usually get. Plus, we're founding members of AAA 24 because I guess the price is going up now, but not for us.
Yeah, you came in just before that, dude. You timed it well.
Well, it's been a few months, but yeah, I'm glad that I got it when I got it. But I was thinking just yesterday, I'm like, where's my A24 stuff? And then I was like, wait, no, Heretic is in there, and that's a pre-order, so I'm not going to get any of that stuff. But all these vinyl releases are on their way, so it's going to be awesome.
Yep. And yesterday was the grand release of probably my favorite movie of the year, Hundreds of Beavers. And it was insane. Like they had 2,000, slipcover copies that went sold out within an hour. But I'm glad I grabbed one. And they also have like a wooden slipcover one on their website, which I'm kind of tempted to get, but I don't know if I can double dip like that. But I'm just really glad that it shows just how much people love that movie because it sold thousands and thousands of copies yesterday.
Yeah.
They're giving that an awards push. I'm in 2 critics groups, and I've gotten links to that movie for awards consideration. And even some of my colleagues who are in the Critics' Choice Awards voting, they've gotten links to it. So they're giving Hundreds of Beavers, and I don't know if it's going to come up with anything. I'm actually pushing for it for costume design and comedic performance in the San Diego Film Critic Awards. I don't know if the problem is convincing people to watch a movie called Hundreds of Beavers. But it's definitely a niche movie. But if you're in that demographic, you love it, which I think all
Which I
three of
do.
us do.
Oh, we absolutely are. And I love that
Yes.
with this recent push and stuff, the director said that if they do a sequel, there's no plans, but if they do, it would be called 200s of Beavers, which is just now it has to be made. It absolutely has to.
The possibilities, man.
Let's get our special guest in this week. This week we are joined with Ryan Kruger, the writer, director, producer, and all-around talent of this year's Street Trash. How are you, Ryan?
Cool, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, of course, man. We loved Street Trash, and so we want to get down into the gooiness of it. We always like to start off our interviews by asking, where did you get your start? What got you into filmmaking and especially the horror genre?
It's always been one of those things that, I meet a lot of people my age, and even like 10 years ago, probably even 20 years ago, where people are still like, I don't even know what I want to be, when I get older or whatever. And as a kid, I've just always liked the movies. I grew up watching so many films with my dad and renting videos out, and it's always just been a thing. And I've never wasted any time doing anything else. Like, I started acting, then I went into directing, still do my acting. So it's just something that's been there super early on. And some people go try study this or go, and they have a backup just in case this doesn't work. And then and dad will always say, maybe if this doesn't work out, I'm not going to say it's not going to work out, right? But if it doesn't work out, maybe you should be like a fucking lawyer or a doctor or this or that. And so just have a thing, just for a backup, just in case. And then I've always been, at that time I was like, oh, I'll do directing. And my mom and dad was like we meant like something else, not in the film industry. So yeah, so it's just always been a thing. And I've always loved grown up in the 80s and early 90s as a kid, just watching all these, cool fucking horror films and gore films and, going to the video shop, looking at those fucking front covers where you don't even read the back. It's just like, oh, this looks amazing. I want to watch this. And that's it. And it's I guess it was just such a big part of my childhood. And I actually often wonder when I think about all the films that I watched as a kid and all the TV series as I watched as a kid and all the cartoons and stuff that I watched as a kid, and you knew all the characters and all this. I always think sometimes like, and I went outside. I wasn't just indoors, but it's one of those where I'm thinking, how the fuck did we have so much time to watch all those things and still go outside,
It's hard to think about. I've been trying to get through a lot of like classic series, especially Star Trek recently, and like I'm only able to do it because it'll be at like midnight and I'm sneaking in an episode in bed before I go to sleep. Time is insane.
You're talking about the original series.
I'm talking all of them. I have watched all, and I'm working my way through original series and then animated to finish up right now.
Okay. All right, cool.
We're getting there.
Oh man, a friend of mine tried to finish Star Trek the animated series and he had to drink a lot to do it.
They're fun. A bit crude and rough, but they're fun.
I've still got one of them on VHS. I've still got it's like one of the volumes on VHS.
Oh, nice. I love that you're back up when your parents are like, all right, if acting doesn't work out, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to direct. That's my folks were like, have you thought about
something creative?
They were like, have you thought about electrician or plumber, some sort of trade?
Sounds arty.
My dad recommended I be a technical writer instead of a writer.
Exactly. You got to do what you got to do, man. You got to do what you enjoy.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And also, you raise a great point that the literal art of cover art for movies, I feel, is underappreciated, especially in the digital age, because I would also wander the video aisles and basically just make my selections based on how cool a VHS cover was or how badly nightmarish, the cover was scary. It was scary to me. Like the Dead Alive VHS cover still haunts my nightmares.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Listen, kids aren't gonna be like it was when I was a kid growing up, spending 3 hours in a video shop looking for a video, you know what I mean? And then your dad says you can have two, and then you're in there for another hour looking. But people looking through Netflix, and obviously obviously you get some cool artwork here and there, but like nothing compared to the 80s. But I mean, if you look at a lot of like some of the images on any fucking genres on or series or whatever on Netflix or any of these platforms, it's just like there's always that one background, whether it's a city or whether it's buildings or whether it's desert, and then you've got all the characters just standing there doing this, and the woman in the background, and it's always the same, it's like the same fucking layout for every
Yeah.
single program. They're all just standing there. One's got the arms folded or whatever, and it's the same for every fucking thing.
Or if it does have cool artwork on the Netflix thing, they'll just pick like a shot where it's just one character's head. And it'll be like, wait,
Yeah.
I've seen the amazing artwork done for this show. What are you doing here? And it's trying to appeal to all audiences in it.
Yeah. I hate what they do when they change the photo. So with newer films, I always forget the names. It's like it's hard to remember all the names now. Like they'll change the picture because I'm always like there's fucking nothing on the Netflix, and it's constantly like fucking there's nothing on, and then sometimes they change the poster or they change the thumbnail, and you go, oh, what's this? Oh, that's and then maybe if there's a cameo from like fucking Christopher Walken, or not even somebody as cool as Christopher Walken, it'll just be somebody else, and then they change the image, and you go, oh, what's this? And then you go, oh, fucking, I can see that already. Try and con your way in to watch another shit movie.
Predatory tactics, that's for certain.
Exactly. And before we get into street trash, I did want to ask you a bit about fried berry, which I also love, and I hope more people find because of street trash. I wanted to ask, like, how did that start? I saw that it was a short first. It looked like it was a short first, and then it became just that mind warp of a movie starring Gary Green.
Yeah. Originally, I just made this. It was the 3-minute experimental. There was no plans for a feature or anything. It was just this random little experimental that I just wanted to show my style and do something different. And I did that, and it did like really well in like festival run and stuff.
Oh
And
yeah.
then I only released that. I did that 2017. I only released that when I started doing the Fried Barry just for promotion, and I started putting it out there. And yeah, it was a few years down the line when at that point in my career where I was just over just false promises where producers will go, oh yeah, we want to do a film with you and this, and then it fades away, and then another producer, and then it fades away, and it just got to this thing where I'm like, all I want to do is to make a feature film. I'm just not getting that opportunity, and the stuff that I want to shoot, it's also it's not 100% like commercial, or it's too dark, or it's too gritty, or whatever. I just said to myself, you know what? I want to make a movie. I want to start next month. And at the time I spoke to my producer, and he was like, well, have you got a script? I'm like, I'm busy writing it, and I'm going to write as I go. And then he goes, well, why do you want to shoot next month? And I was like, the way I saw it, was like, if we don't shoot next month, it's never going to happen. So I'm sick of just like delaying stuff or saying you want to do something. And I'm like, I want to start next month. And so I had money, and my producer had money, and then independently, the next month came, and we started shooting, and it took 28 days, over a year and a half to
Wow.
finish that film. And I was writing as I was going. I had all the scene breakdowns, what I wanted, and I knew how it was going to end. But then, as I'm writing, I'm like, oh, this should happen. And then I would get the footage, and I'd be like, oh, I actually don't need this now. I need this. And it just developed like that. So that was like basically my medicine to get me out of the hole that I was in at the time, which fucking worked. And it also brought me street trash.
That's
Great.
awesome.
Yeah, no, and what now? And also, they would make a great double feature.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely.
And on that, I really loved the new Street Trash. It was so much fun, and I'm kicking myself because I missed the theatrical screening at the New Beverly on 35 millimeter. I think I had to work those nights or something, and I really wish I could have gone.
Oh, it was a great screening.
It was really cool. I'm trying to think now. Were you at the first or the second screening?
I was at the first night. Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed this. Both nights were great. I actually enjoyed the screening on the second night more because they turned up the volume more. So it was like it was just so much more pitch. with the film. But yeah, both nights was amazing. It was really cool, and it was great to see the audience laughing at all the right moments and stuff like that. And I always love an American audience because you guys are very like vocal. You'll just like shout shit out and
Yeah,
stuff like that, which is
yeah, that's true.
awesome. Yeah.
Well, it's hard not to with a movie like Street Trash. I mean, it's got a little bit of everything. It's got the drama, it's got comedy, it's got penis
Yeah.
decapitation, imaginary friends asking to get sucked off. I mean, there's something there for everybody with it. And the crowd reactions were really great. I thought you were going to say for a moment the second night was better because I wasn't there, but that's just
That's why it was better.
how did you go get involved with Street Trash? I mean, from what I understand, it was a very different shooting process than Fried Berry. You said Fried Berry was you were writing as you were going along. With this, how did Street Trash come to be?
So yeah, basically what happened on Street Trash, it was we were screening. There was the premiere for Fried Barry on Joe Bob's Last Drive-In, and the producers Justin and Matt they've been looking for somebody or the right fit to do Street Trash. And for some reason, when Fried Barry was screening, a lot of people was saying Ryan Kruger would be a good fit, and it just came up like so many times. I thought nothing of it, and then eventually, Justin reached out and said, "Do you want to write a script and direct a movie?" And obviously, like I knew what Street Trash was. I was a fan of the original film, and I really wanted to do something different and not copy the original and have like a loose sequel. So for a new audience, it could be a standalone film for the fans and people like myself. It's like, if you know the original, you know that this is more of a sequel. Like we even mentioned the original film in this film. And yeah, and I mean, making Street Trash as a fan, I look at it and go, what did I like about Street Trash? What do people like about Street Trash? Not only, is it shot in the 80s and there's that certain nostalgia, movies that what we grew up with as kids and watching it and stuff like that. So, I look at that and I look at like, 80s in New York and obviously the DNA of Street Trash is the fluorescent, the colors of all the goo and all the blood. That's all the multi goo is a big part of the DNA, and then obviously is the 80s style prosthetics, which I love prosthetics. I thought I would ever make a film of a lot of in-camera prosthetics, that much anyway. And you have more of a narrative story than the original. And it was important for me to have characters that you like and enjoy and go on this journey with.
Absolutely, because I had seen Street Trash years prior and was always like, that was fun, but and then like left it by. And so before the screening, I revisited and I was like, man, it felt like it was about to make a statement, but went for the joke instead. Like it was setting up to make like a good statement about like homelessness and like apathy towards the homeless and all that. But then it would go for the bit, which is fun too. But I felt there was a bit of lacking. So watching your Street Trash, I was very happy to be like, oh, you're actually sticking with saying something, but still having the time for goopiness, for the jokes, for the punk rock energy.
Exactly. And yeah, and there's a lot of social awareness and, of layered within the film with, the homeless and the government. And, we've all been through COVID. We all know how the government was like, oh, you gotta wear your mask. You got to do this. You need to take this jab and then you need to take that jab. And we all went through it. And not only that, a lot of people lost their houses. A lot of people lost their jobs and businesses. And, even beforehand, there's a lot of homeless people. But even after COVID, it's way more. And it's everywhere in the world. It's crazy. So, it's nice to see when people do see it in the film and see that as, that social message there and it's layered it within the film. And like you said, I still have time for the jokes and the gooiness and have all that blood and guts and stuff like that, which is awesome. But it's also, as I said, if you see it and you see that laid into the film, which is great, but also step back and also look at it and be like, it is just a melt movie at the fucking end of the day as well. It is a
Hmm.
popcorn movie that you can enjoy and this, and you can't make it too serious about certain stuff. But it is there. There's like you said, the stuff is there. Whether you pick it up or not, then that's cool that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did want to ask, just kind of what was your process in writing out these characters, and also I think it was so cool that you brought back Gary Green from Friedberry to play 8-Bit in this film.
I couldn't not bring Gary Green back, in this movie. It's like it's obviously I'm like I fucking have to bring him into this film, and obviously he fitted so well into that drug addict again, but he was just like a bad acid head that's probably took just way too much fucking drugs. So it was cool to have him there, and because Gary's not a trained actor. And he comes from an extra background. And, when I did Fry Barry, I had to work super fucking close with him. And it took a lot of time to get exactly what I want. Gary's a super nice guy, but I have to jump through a lot of hoops to get exactly what I want. And the cool thing with this film is that, because visually, Gary just looks amazing.
Yeah.
He just looks fucking cool. He's got this fucking great look, and as long as I think I just cast him really well in the parts that I want him to play in, and he shines through. And I've got like a three-step process how I work with Gary, where I rehearse so much over a certain period of time, and then I rehearse on set. And then there's certain stuff I do on set with him. And then when it comes to post, it's also polishing his performance and getting the beats so it looks even better. And you know what I mean? There's a whole process there. But the cool thing about Gary's part, I think it was only the second draft. And when I came up with the idea for Sokol as a little imaginary friend, I just thought, oh, this is such a fucking cool and funny idea. Like nobody will see it coming. It was almost designed for like a support boat for me working with Gary a little bit more, so that he's just got this sidekick, and then I can just control the directing a little bit more, and then as a duo it's even funnier. And the thing was with that also, and I'm pretty sure this has happened already, but even beforehand, I try to keep Sokol a secret as much as possible, because obviously when you're doing a street trash movie, and some people think straight away, oh, it's a remake, straight away, oh, it's a remake or a reimagining and da 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 and all this. So I've always been like, yes, a reimagining, loose sequel, but it is definitely not copying the original film. Yes, I've done nods to the original and played homage to it and respect to it. As soon as the press got hold of the film saying remaking this, and then obviously as a fan as well, when you hear somebody's doing like a remake, you're like, oh, why the fuck are they remaking that? And why didn't they just leave it alone? And like I said, it's more of a sequel, but also because Sokol is so fucking random. If original fans saw Sokol, they'll be like, what the fuck is this fucking alien thing doing in street trash? But it works so well, you know what I mean? It works so well. That's why I said you got to like watch the film, and you also got to know that it's a sequel. And it comes back to that, that cool 80s prosthetic puppet sort of vibe. So it's all, and it does all make sense, you know what I mean? And it's been great that I've had so many messages of people and people reaching out, and things I've seen online where, there's been a lot of the original fans that have watched the film and has really enjoyed it. They're so happy that it's more of a sequel and not a remake, for scene or anything like that. So, and that's the thing, I just wanted my own stamp on it, and make it different.
Has there been a lot of Sucko fan art coming out? I can imagine that there's a corner of the internet that's already going a little nuts with that.
There's a few people that have sent me stuff, and what we're actually going to do, we haven't announced it yet, so it will come out on this first. We will be doing a fan art competition, probably with Vinegar Syndrome.
Nice.
And yeah, so we'll be really looking at people doing fan art, and probably win some Blu-rays and DVDs and stuff like that. we'll probably announce that pretty soon.
Sweet. Yeah. And speaking of, I also really like the poster art for your street trash with the melting riot cop's face, which also I think is a great juxtaposition to the original street trash poster where it's the homeless guy melting, and also the tagline "Melt the Rich." So I
Yeah.
think it just really sets itself apart.
Yeah, we should have actually called the film Street Trash, Not the Rich. That's what we should have actually.
That would have been a good hook.
You could do a Ghostbusters thing. Just do it at post release, just like how they turned the Ghostbusters Answer the Call. Just call it Trash Melt the Rich.
And I did want to ask about the rest of the casting process and also just writing out the rest of the cast of characters.
Yeah, no, brilliant cast. You know, a lot of these cast members were involved in Fry Barry. And yeah, we had an amazing cast. My very good friend, Sean Cameron Michael, played Ronald, and Joe Vaz played Chef. Yeah, and it's those two guys are like very, I've worked with them, over the years and stuff. And it was so nice to finally do a film with the leads in the movie, which was awesome because it was always a thing like making music videos or short films saying, one day we'll make a feature and you guys will be the lead and I can actually fucking pay you some money and shit like that. And so it was super special having that and having them on board, and they're great actors and they've got such a they've done so much and amazing work, and this is the thing. Like, I love the movies that I make. I'm a fan of my own fucking movies. I fucking love the films that I make because it's not just my work; it's their work. Like Sean Cameron Michael, the amount of other amazing actors that he's worked with. He's such a brilliant fucking actor. He can do he's just a great character actor. He's done so much cool shit, and I admire these people that I work with. Whether it's somebody who's doing the soundtrack or whatever. Like, I love. Or DOP, I love these people's work, and it's all friends and pros coming together to create something together, and I think that's what's very special, about this film. How hard, there was a very limited, I think maybe 3 or 4 people that auditioned, and everybody else was just cast. I just cast them because I know this person's going to be great in this role. This person's going to be great in that role. And yeah, it's just hanging out with your mates. And the reason why they're there is not just because they're mates, they're very good at what they do. And it's just, 4.5 weeks or however long it took. And it's just hanging out with your mates making a movie. I mean, you can't get better than that.
Oh, yeah, no. And
Yeah.
just happy to hear that it sounds like you kind of have a regular crew going, and yeah, no, and I do feel like you have to be a fan of your own work or your own projects because it's just not you, and you got to support yourself and all the people involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's just one of those things where, like I said, it's, it takes so many people to make a movie. There's so many people, and it takes the right recipe as well. And I think that's something I think I'm really good at of bringing, certain people together to make, a high standard thing that's going to work, that's entertainment, and casting the right characters and the right people for these things. And so, like I said, whether it's the music or the wardrobe styling or whatever, you know what I mean? It's a big part of everything. When you look at a frame, it's so many people's work.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. The original Street Trash is so steeped in 80s New York. What was it like kind of balancing that aesthetic with also bringing so much of Cape Town?
Yeah, there's a lot of films that get shot here that pretend that it's America or whatever. And the thing is, straight away, again, I wanted my own stamp on it and to set it in Cape Town. It's also something different. It's a completely also different vibe, but still universally entertainment as well at the same time. So it's just something different. So I didn't want to, you know what I mean? I'm not American. I'm freaking English South African. So, I don't want to, again, I wanted to stay away from the original and have my own like stamp on it. And I think South Africa has a lot to offer. I think South Africa is still very new in the film world of, what people think. I remember as a kid growing up in England, also going back and forth to South Africa, and you say to people, oh, you're from South Africa, and they be like, well, they just picture like lions and stuff in your back garden and fucking shit like that. Or like, why am I white if I'm from South Africa? And just like weird shit like that. So it's people have a very warped perception of what South Africa is, and it's just like anywhere else in the world. It's like it's built up. But yeah, Cape Town is a very cool city. So yeah, it's just adding something different and something that brings something else.
Yeah, and I did want to ask, in terms of the practical effects, who was involved for that, and do you have an exact figure for just how many gallons of blood and various bodily fluids were used in the making of the movie?
It was Adrian Smith from Creations, so there was a lot of planning for the prosthetics. I don't know how many gallons of goo and blood and multicolored goo that we had. It was a shitload. I know that because the cleanup team took try picking that shit up,
Oh
off
my
the floor.
God.
It was like a lot. I mean, even when we shot the first scene of the movie, with a guy sitting in the chair and he's in the experimental room. When we shot that, we actually shot that before the main part of shooting Street Trash. It was the concept approval originally what we started with.
Oh.
And there was so much blood and goo on the floor. And there was like everybody started going home, and it was just like me and another assistant, or I'm a producer at the time. And there was so much blood and goo on the floor. It was impossible to get everything in buckets and stuff like that. And there was no lights in the building, and people started leaving. But I had to clean the place, and I ended up just pushing it out on the floor, just pushing it out further, so it's not thick blood, just puddles. I just had to push it out on the floor just to even it out. And I think it was almost like I dyed the floor like red.
Oh,
It was
wow.
just like, yeah, but the location people never shouted at me, so it was all right. I guess I got away with it.
You got your deposit back. That's all that's the important bit.
We are at the moment back.
And it looked good.
Oh, looked amazing. Yeah. The all the blood, the goo, the multicolor, it's punk rock. Loved it. We're getting towards the end. So Ryan, wanted to check with you and see, we have Street Trash is out on digital right now, on Screambox. It's streaming, and it's coming soon to Blu-ray through Vinegar Syndrome, which is very exciting. They always do awesome Blu-ray, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's in January. Vinegar Syndrome is in January, and Screambox is it's next month. So right now we're on digital platforms, Amazon and Apple TV, and I'm pretty sure there's a few others as well.
Oh,
Sweet.
awesome. And you guys are still doing the 35 millimeter screenings in select theaters,
Yeah,
right?
that's still happening right now. I would like to go to another one of those. I want to go to the New York one. That's where I want
I
to
can
be.
tell you're wearing a Yankees hat right now.
There you go.
Yeah. What else do you have coming up for you?
So right now, there's a few films that we're talking about right now, and it's really, you never know what's going to happen. You never know looks like this film's going to happen, and then somebody else picks up the other film, and it just happens sooner. So sometimes that's the case. I have though been working on this very like art house indie black and white movie starring Gary Green.
Oh, cool.
Very different than Street Trash, very different than Fried Barry, but it's literally about a weirdo, Gary Green, about a weirdo that is that wants to be an actor, but he's a shit actor, and he's and yeah, he ends up going like full method and starts going fucking mad and starts fucking killing people, basically.
Damn.
Man, Gary's your muse, isn't he?
Yeah, he's awesome, man. Gary's that's what I'm saying. No matter what I shoot, Gary will end up popping up somewhere. I just pick the right characters. I have patience working with Gary. You know, it takes a lot of time to work with him and get exactly what I want. But that's cool. That's fine. I'm patient with him, and we work well together. I just got to jump through some hoops during the making of and directing of him, but it's fine. We get there in the end, and Gary is great. He never gives up. He's always putting 120% in, so he'll never be like, oh, I'm done now. I can't do this. Even when I've got the take, he'll be like, Ryan, let's do it again. I'm like, Gary, trust me, we got it. Like, mine took 70 takes, but we fucking got it. And he's like, no, let's do it again. And I'm like, no, trust me, we got it. And if it doesn't work, and I'm like, no, Gary, we're not doing another take. It's like, we definitely can't get this, but it's all right. I'm going to try something else, which will work instead. So, that's Gary.
He's your Oliver Reed to your Ken Russell there.
Yeah, he's more like my it's like my Bela Lugosi.
to your Ed Wood or your Todd Brown?
Good question.
Well, where can we find you online or on social so we can keep up with the projects you have coming up and more Street Trash news?
Yeah, on Twitter and Instagram, it's at a Ryan Kruger thing, and on Facebook, type in Ryan Kruger, it should pop up, and also Ryan Kruger. All the upcoming stuff, the rip. So yeah, keep a lookout for that. If you watch Street Trash, show it some love on Letterboxd, and let me know what you think.
Great.
Definitely show the love on Letterboxd for Justin's sanity, please.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry, I cracked myself up with that. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, you can find iHorror on all the socials at iHorror, or you can find us at iHorror.com, which is a website we call home. Our theme music is by Restless Spirits, so go check them out. And our artwork is by Chris Fisher, so go check him out. And remember to check out Street Trash now on digital platforms, coming soon to Screambox, coming soon to Vinegar Syndrome. And of course, if you are able to go to a screening on 35, go see it. This film was shot on 35 and looks amazing on the big screen. So, yeah, and we'll see everybody in a couple of weeks. So for me, I'm John Correa.
I'm Jacob Davison.
I'm James J. Edwards.
And I'm Ryan Kruger.
Keep your eye on horror.